Let's make sure that our children will never be in a war.
I train my therapists. I want them to give the best to the person they're working with, but I don't want them to treat them as a case, as somebody that you just write off as, okay, now the job is done. That's pretty cold, you know. It's like, yeah, I expect that eventually, if it's possible, that they become friends. Friendship is the goal of the thing. Throw away the therapist label, throw away the patient label. You got two human beings, you know? And that's what I see as the goal of therapy, you know, where the therapist, okay, and the patient says, okay, let's be friends. And that's fulfillment of therapy. That's where the love factor comes in, you know. Where love is what I believe is the end result of everything. A world without therapy would be great, and there has to be love, huh? Mm. Love replaces therapy? That would be nice.
How would you define Veeresh therapy as it was then before you met Osho?
Well, it's this, I think the best way to describe it is no nonsense, no bullshit, straight talk, shit or get off the pot approach from Phoenix House with this whole other world of, I guess I call it compassion, of seeing people and trying to take them very at their pace into high levels. That's the 5 years of working with people. I started to see that they're common denominators. Everybody's holding on to pain, you know. Mm. And everybody needs love, and so that aspect, rather than just change your behavior so that you can fit back into society, I was exploring that part. So it was that kind of balance. One very strict, you want to change, I want you to change now. On the other approach, yes, I encourage you to be where you are. And so it was a combination of both. Those 5 years was great. I had such great, amazing individual sessions. One woman would come in always with a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, and that's how she always wanted to start the session. I said, okay, here we go. Yeah, another woman, it was just amazing. I had such great adventures, great learning. And in my first encounter session, they asked me, why did I use drugs? And I said, well, I came from a mixed neighborhood and I didn't have a clear identity. I didn't know whether I was white or brown. And they said, bullshit. And I got shocked. Because all the other institutes bought that one. And then I said, well, my father was away and I didn't have a real, parental figure, and he was in the ship all the time. And they said, bullshit. And then I started to get really scared. And they kept encountering me, asking me why. And every excuse that I would come up with, they said, bullshit. And then they jumped up and they screamed at me and said, the only reason why you use drugs, you junkie motherfucker, is because you like it. And it was true. All these excuses I had for using it, I could have said that in the beginning of the first time, but 14 years later, using all these excuses, and it was true. I liked it. It took me away from reality. That's what I wanted. I was in this hospital for the 7th time. My pajamas were ironed. The hospital beds of my bed were perfect. Ashtray, cigarettes, everything was like all set up. I had done this so many times. And then these guys walked in and they said they're starting a new program called Phoenix House. And we were very, very suspicious. And the first thing we did was we wanted to see their arms, because they said they were addicts, ex-addicts, and we had never met ex-addicts. And then we could see the scars. And then suddenly we had an enormous amount of respect, because they were no longer psychiatrists. These were ex-addicts. And that was completely different. We'd never seen this before. And then we were lying in bed, 31 of us, complaining, and then the director comes by and he claps his hands and says, "Okay, everybody up, we're going into a marathon." And I thought, these people are crazy. They want us to run around this island at 12 o'clock at night. They must be out of their mind, man. And we go into a room with mattresses, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and coffee. And we stay in this room for 48 hours, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. I've never been so shocked. In this marathon, they went through every single person to investigate who they are and what they've done in their life, and the horrible things that were coming out of what people had done, and all the guilt and pain. And I was so amazed by this whole thing. I ended up in a corner with a blanket just shaking, you know. I never saw anything like this. People crying, people that I had known. And then, at the end of the marathon, I thought, I gotta get out of here. And I was sneaking around the back while everybody was crying and hugging, feeling terrible because I hadn't done anything. I was just scared all the time. And then my director, Victor, he saw me sneaking out, and then he grabbed me. He knew, he just left me there for the whole marathon. He figured this would work. And then he gave me this Italian, "Hey, if you stay, I'll give you everything I know." And I looked at Victor and I just fell apart and I cried and he hugged me. That's how I joined the program then. But it was quite a powerful experience from the hospital there. One powerful encounter I had, I was in this group and they challenged me and I wanted to leave. They wanted me to shave my mustache. And I felt if I shaved my mustache, my balls would fall off or something, you know. Not my mustache. And man, what ended up happening, I was sitting there, I was ready to leave, and this guy from Synanon sits next to me and he says to me in real clear words, he says, "You know what's right and you know what's wrong, you know. He said, you can go back to the streets and do the same cycle again, or you can change it now." And he said, "Besides, your brothers over there would miss you if you left." And then I just fell apart. I shaved my mustache. I gave him my mustache. This was quite an approach, you know. Not giving up. I learned that in Phoenix House. They showed me, I was so touched how they cared. And the way they cared, it was not the usual way they cared. You know, they would shave your head, ridiculize you, make you wear signs, stocking caps, every kind of method to show you like, "Hey, stupid, you can be better than what you're acting like now," you know. And I never saw them giving up, and I always was impressed with that. And they didn't give up on me, so I learned that from them, not to give up on people, to care, because it's important for them and you.